What does a NAR settlement mean to you as a buyer? Well, today I'm going to try and simplify and clarify some of that, which seems to be confusing everyone. So recently, the National Association of Realtors settled a major lawsuit, which has had significant implications for the real estate market. And the settlement aims to bring more transparency and fairness to the buying and selling process. However, agent compensation has always been a negotiable item. But now there's going to have to be a written agreement in place prior to touring properties. So, to find out what this means for you and how to make the most of the changes to benefit you, listen to the end of this recording. Hi, my name is Matt Serafice. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty in Gainesville, Florida. I've been licensed since 2015, and I lived in the Gainesville area since 2001, with the exception of about 5 months. So, below, you can connect with me. Click on my Calendly link, call or text my mobile number, or you can email me. So the NAR settlement, what does it mean for buyers and sellers? And this will be going into effect beginning August the 17th of this year. So to simplify things, agents who use and list properties for sale on the MLS are required to share information, will be required to enter into written agreements with buyers before touring a home. And those agreements must include information that's specific and conspicuous, disclosure of the amount and rate of compensation the agent will receive and how that is determined. Secondly, compensation is broken down into either flat fee, X%, an hourly rate, or whatever the terms of that are, and not open-ended, such as, oh, your pay is just gonna be whatever the seller is willing to offer. You can't do that. The third thing prohibits the agent from receiving compensation for brokerage services from any source that exceeds the amount or rate agreed to in the agreement. And lastly, a conspicuous statement that broker fees and commissions are fully negotiable and not set by law. So, as I said earlier, NAR has long encouraged members to use written agreements, but that hasn't always been the case. And I kind of feel like this is beneficial for all parties because I've definitely been on the end of showing a customer 30 or 35 homes only to have them sign a contract with another agent because I was out of town that day. So that's very frustrating. And if we have a commitment to each other, we communicate to each other what the terms of that agreement are, we'll have a much better and fruitful relationship. So let's talk about offers of compensation. This probably doesn't concern the buyer and seller that much. Has to do with marketing of what's allowed for brokers, website displays, what concessions, and in the MLS itself. Previously, it would have what the commission is for both the buyer and seller agent. And we're not doing that anymore, but there's going to be a separate field that says concessions allowed from the seller. So I don't know, changing the name of fields, how much that helps or hurts, but that's what's happening. Negotiating on as far as what the commission is going to be, of course, is going to be a part of that initial conversation, and how well I can communicate to you, the buyer or seller, what the value is that I bring to the table. So, exactly what kind of value do I bring to the table? That's a great question, and I view the home buying process as fairly long and complicated that have broken down into a number of steps can be easily digested. And I view myself as the referee of a transaction and your assistant coach so that you can make informed decisions along the way because you're calling the final shots. So first we have to do some preparation and planning and figuring out what your budget is and setting you up with a lender that's going to help you achieve your goals, get pre-approved so that we can find you the right home. Next is going through your criteria of making a list of must-haves and nice-haves in your home, searching for the actual home, browsing listings online, going to open houses, and visiting houses individually with myself. Next, we'll have the actual making an offer and negotiating that offer, and being prepared for counter offers and contingencies and closing costs. And then once we're under contract, I have to be concerned about timing with home inspection. What type of inspections need to be done? Are there repairs that need to be made? And then what about the appraisal and finalizing the loan and providing documents, permit searches and zoning issues? So there's a lot of issues to be concerned with That's my job to worry about, to take that stress off of you. Finally, closing the deal, we get to a final walkthrough and a final inspection to make everything, make sure that the property is in the agreed upon condition. The last thing I'd like to do here is give a quick walkthrough of what the exclusive buyer brokerage agreement looks like. And this is just one version. This is from an attorney drew this up in Orlando. The form that's available on Form Simplicity is a little less involved. And I kind of like this because it has more details. But this is the basic idea. You have the parties named, the broker and the buyer. The term of the agreement could be 7 days, it could be 30 days, it could be 6 months. And these dates will become more important as we get down farther in through this agreement. But then we identify what type of property the buyer is looking for, the price range, the location, are you pre-qualified or not, whatever other preferred terms and conditions you might have. Next, we have the broker's obligations, and I talked a little bit about this and the value that I bring, but this is where we have an opportunity to have a conversation about what you expect from me. And it's up to me to be able to use my knowledge and skills to guide you to a closing and finding a home that's suitable for you. A lot of this has to do with cooperating with other vendors and other real estate agents to effect a transaction. It's also important to understand we may be working with other buyers that are also interested in a particular property that you might be interested in. So we have to cooperate with them. We have to abide by the Fair Housing Act, and we will be providing referrals to service providers like inspectors, repair people, and things of this nature, which we cannot warranty or guarantee. Next is the buyer's obligations, and basically the buyer is just agreeing to cooperate with the broker in accomplishing our objectives. The buyer's obligations are relatively straightforward. We're just asking for your cooperation, providing us accurate information to help us negotiate on your behalf and locate a property that's suitable for you. In the event a retainer is going to be charged, that will be mentioned here in paragraph 6. And then we get to 7. This is the important part. So compensation is earned when during the term of this agreement, the buyer or any person acting for or on behalf of the buyer contracts to acquire real property as specified in this agreement. The buyer is going to be responsible for paying the broker the amount specified below, but this will be credited with any amount which the broker receives from the seller or the real estate licensee who is working with the seller. So if we adhere to the way things used to be and the seller is offering compensation, the buyer would not be responsible for paying these fees. But in the case not, then the buyer will be responsible for these. So we can specify a flat dollar amount or in a percentage amount plus X amount if that's the case. Sometimes with new construction or home builders, there may be bonuses involved, and we may need to ask for modifications or even negotiate that money being split, however it needs to be handled. Next is a protection period. This is something that if you decide to fire your agent and you've looked at houses up until that point, if you decide to buy one of those houses, you'll still be obligated to pay that buyer broker fee within X number of days after termination of the agreement. So if we have an agreement and there's a 30-day protection period, any houses we looked at during that time and you decide to buy it within that 30 days, you would still owe your buyer's agent a commission for. You have an early termination paragraph, dispute resolution, attorney fees, and a lot of boilerplate statements here. 15, some brokers have a specific form for each form of brokerage relationship. The vast majority of the time, it's going to be transaction broker, which allows us to referee from both sides, both the seller side and the buyer side. I generally prefer not to be in that situation. I'd rather just work for a seller or a buyer, but the transaction broker allows us to work that both ways. So if you have questions, again, please reach out, call my mobile number, click my Calendly link in the description below, or email me at your convenience, and let's start a conversation today.